I came across some interesting statistics not too long ago as far as artists being able to, let's define success as being able to support a family. Just basically be able to survive and live to the manner in which you choose to become accustomed.
And create the music on your own terms.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Without
Okay.
playing commercial jingles.
To be able to, have a family and support yourself through your chosen craft. The poverty level in the United States, the minimum, or not the poverty level, but if you were a minimum wage worker, and you earn nothing but the minimum wage, you earn about $1,160 a month. In order to make that much money, just to basically make the minimum wage, selling your music online, if you sell a self-produced album on CD Baby that you release yourself, you need to sell 155 albums a month in order to earn the minimum wage. If you sell it via retail channels, you need to sell 1,100 records, and if you wanted to sell it via iTunes, you'd need to sell 1,200 in order to earn.
Would you need to sell via streams on Pandora?
Right, and then obviously if you're
no, but it would be like 12 million.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
well, it says on a Rhapsody stream is 849,000.
Okay.
Wow.
So you sell your own record on CD Baby, you sell 155 a month, and you earn the minimum wage. To earn the same amount of money, you would have to have 849,000 streams.
Maybe we should all go to medical school.
Or law school, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, George already did that.
Oh, you're the man.
So it seems that just selling your music, whether it's online or through other channels, is not necessarily enough to be able to earn a livelihood. So,
and add to that the fact that people don't buy records anymore.
Because they think the music should be free, or it's accessible free, even if they would choose to pay for it. I mean, I believe in copyrights, I believe in supporting musicians, but I listen to a lot of music on YouTube, and Lord knows what the rights issues are there. So all of us are happy to take advantage of free music when it's out there. It's going to be increasingly tough, though, to sustain a career as a person who can support a family. You got to do other stuff. Can we just talk very briefly about this whole notion that George referred to earlier of licensing? Is licensing music to film? We have a panel on this next Friday about licensing music to film and television and video games. Everybody has jumped in and said, well, we can't sell records anymore, so getting your music used in a commercial or a video game or in a movie, that'll be our savior. That is what's going to help us generate revenue in the new day. Any validity from yours?
There are just as many people that say we should never do that.
Okay. Because it's selling out, it's too commercial?
Well, increasingly few.
I know, but...
Well, there was a funny Stephen Colbert bit right before the Grammys where he had the Black Keys and Vampire Weekend having a battle of the bands to see who had sold out the most by getting their music into more commercials. They were, Honda versus Hewlett-Packard and Victoria's Secret versus McDonald's and whatever. So,
well, look, I mean, it's sort of that's sort of the holy grail that everybody's looking out for. I've got friends in a band called the Civil Wars that are doing it on their own. They've sold just an ungodly amount of records on their own, no label, through iTunes. If you trace back the sort of the projection, the trajectory of how that happened, it was because they got a sync, and I forget what show it was, some show, and then in that you hear about that occasionally. I'm gonna refrain from sort of giving an opinion about that. I will say it's a buyer's market for music supervisors, but I would say that all of you that are sort of pinning your hopes on that, be careful, because those types of opportunities, again, tend to come out of when you've generated some other buzz. They don't come out of, hey, I've written some great song, I'm going to send it to music supervisor XYZ, they're going to stick it in a show. It tends to happen, well, I've been playing, been doing my thing, I've toured out in LA, I've gotten my record played on KCRW several times, and then some music supervisor. There's definitely magic in motion. So whether or not we're at some bubble of music supervision or whatever, who the hell knows? But I will tell you, it's not a unified thing that just happens without a whole lot of other things happening. And again, I go back to what I started with: playing live, getting out there, building up real connections.
Yeah, absolutely. I think It's a little bit of everything. You can't expect to, if you wanted to license your songs to television, you can expect that to happen every year. You certainly not 20 years it takes to raise a family or to just live. So it's a question of doing everything you can and bringing all those things together, and that's how you make a living in this business. People do it and have been doing it all along. So it's doable, but it's little bits and pieces. You bring it along. A licensing here, you go out and play there. As long as you keep your music, you keep your brand or whatever you want to call it, as long as you keep it genuine and right, and you have those fans that you're talking about, Kristin, that really care what you do and know what you do and appreciate good music, they'll support you. They'll pay a little bit more. They'll always be there for you. They'll always buy another CD. They'll always turn somebody else onto it. They'll do everything. You know, you cultivate that.
They last longer.
They do.
I was asked to guest star on Friends when it was the #1 show on TV. I was supposed to play Jeremiah was a bullfrog in their cafe, and I said no.
As any reasonable person would have. Yeah.
And Warner Brothers called and said, "You don't say no to the #1 show on TV." It's like, yeah, I do. People would hate me if I did that. And then my band, Throwing Muses, actually ended because we ran out of money. We could no longer afford to be in the studio or on the road, and it was absolutely heartbreaking for me. I can't tell you. My religion was over that day. And Mountain Dew called us, offered us a Super Bowl commercial if we'd stand on a mountain and play Thank Heaven for Little Girls. And I still wonder if not doing that is okay, because maybe my band would have been alive, and that would have been a happy ending on its own, but I couldn't make myself do that for Mountain Dew. It's not music.
Anybody you would do it for?
Well, that's a good question. And like Peter was saying, I didn't write Thank Heaven for Little Girls, and I'm not really into it. So it wouldn't have been my integrity answer. My integrity answer was another big fat no. But it's possible that they could, I could license something to somebody that wasn't evil, and it would be good music instead of bad.
Well, and I'm sure on your panel it'll come up, but in both of those horrible sort of Faustian bargains, both Jeremiah was a bullfrog and Thank Heaven for Little Girls, your income would not have been that great because you didn't
write the song. I know,
as best I know, you didn't write either of those songs.
I did a Cat Stevens cover they put on NPR, and I didn't make a penny.
You'd make a dime. So you got to be
yeah.
really careful, and I'm sure you'll cover this in your topic, but most of those quote-unquote opportunities, there may be some small upfront fee, but if you didn't write the song, you're not going to get any of the revenue from public performance royalties or anything like that. So, oftentimes they'll make them work for hires that so you were not only trading all of your integrity, but you're really not getting much. And that happened with Clem Snide with Ed.
Yeah.
I also think they thought I was Chrissy Hind.
That's
She was
an
on
approach.
Friends a couple months later. Yeah.
Boom!